Principles must never be compromised, but compromise itself is not a dirty word. Consensus is not a weakness.
There is a new program that many people in the country don't even know about. It's going to be sent out across the United States. It's under a new paid family and medical leave program. So millions of people can receive an extra check from the government this month. But first, remember everybody, the whole goal of this channel is to provide you with the most up-to-date and reliable stimulus check information. I always want to do my very best in providing you with this news. So you want to be sure to stay until the end of the video.
Let me ask you a question, Joe.
Yeah.
You're right here with me.
Yeah.
Have you been on the floor of the Senate? You were in the Senate for a few years.
Yeah.
Time and time again, talking about the necessity, with pride, about cutting Social Security, cutting Medicare, cutting veterans program.
I know many people right now are currently looking for more relief from the child tax credit payment. And there is some good news right now for residents of Connecticut. Connecticut Governor Ned Lamont just announced in a news conference today that Connecticut's paid family and medical leave program benefits can now be accessed. This is wonderful news for residents of California. For residents of Connecticut who have been waiting for more financial relief. When Governor Lamont signed the bill into law, he told reporters that a tremendous amount of effort and dedication has gone into getting us to this point and making paid leave a reality. The people now have a necessary safety net in place if they are faced with family or health concerns. The program is less than 2 weeks old and already making a tremendous difference for many people who've been approved for paid family leave, medical leave, and will be able to take care of themselves or a loved one without worrying about how to make ends meet. So taking care of our workers is not the only right thing to do, he said, but also the necessary thing to do to ensure that our state continues to thrive. I definitely think it's a good idea that more stimulus payments in certain cities and certain states and even across the nation be sent out. I do agree with that message, everybody. So there are also states that should have paid family leave and medical leave available right now. In Connecticut, the program includes receiving up to 12 weeks of paid time off for people's own health in a newborn child or a new member of the family. The program, which state officials said marked the 8th of its kind in the nation, is paid through a 0.5% tax on employee wages that began a year ago. The amount of money workers can receive varies and depends on their salaries. The limit is 60 times the state minimum wage, which is $13 an hour or $780 a week. For the millions of people in other states, hopes for a paid family leave medical leave program are still here. Joe Manchin has vowed to vote against the Build Back Better bill that would include paid family and medical leave. Among the proposals in the sweeping $1.75 trillion package are plans to give workers 4 weeks of paid leave if they have a new child, or need to take care of a loved one or tend to their own medical needs. But still, Manchin has not expressed support for the paid leave proposal due to concerns about the cost creating a new federal program would entail. The Congressional Budget Office estimates the 4-week paid leave, and it would cost around $205 billion over 10 years. It is very upsetting that Manchin does not want to do what it takes to support the paid leave and medical leave provision. It would help so many people across the country, and several advocacy groups for paid leave were quick to criticize Manchin's decision. Very likely that the IRS, related to the child tax credit payment, everybody, is sending you a letter related to the child tax credit payment. If you received any monthly child tax credit payments last year, you might not be expecting to see a notice from the IRS, but this letter is essential to help prepare your tax return for 2021 and possibly claim any more money that you're due. You may want to keep the IRS letter with your tax paperwork. Referring to this letter for preparing your 2021 tax return can also help avoid a long wait for any tax refund that you're owed. Thank you again for your support. If you have any more questions about this, tell me in the comments down below.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. We know what's coming next. $3.5 trillion reckless tax and spending spree. The absolutely worst possible thing we could be doing in our country right now. Playing Russian roulette with this economic recovery, which has already been threatened by this raging inflation created by the rescue package earlier this year. These taxes are going to hit the country really hard. There was a Wall Street Journal article a couple of days ago featuring a landlord in my state who had been investing over the years in rental property in order to guarantee his retirement. This would affect, under these capital gains increases that they have in mind, that basically would cut his assets in half.
To fix their cars so they don't miss work, to maybe take their kid once in a while to a restaurant. So the money's good. It's not going to be put in a Swiss bank account. It's going to be spent in local communities, making a difference. But that's sort of the big picture. The joy of working on this bill and I started working on this in 2013, joined by Michael Bennett and Senator Booker, and then since he came, Senator Warnock and Senator Baldwin, the presiding officer, has been helpful, and Senator Wyden, the chair of the Finance Committee. The joy of this is to see how this affects individual families' lives. And so a couple of weeks ago, before the checks were sent out, I did a series of roundtables in Defiance and Findlay and Bryan and Cleveland and Dayton and Toledo and where else? In Youngstown and in Cincinnati. And I just asked families, what are you going to do with this money? And many families didn't know it was even coming. The word wasn't out yet. And I just heard some interesting comments. But then after the checks were sent out, I also heard stories. And here's what this means to families. One mother said, for the first time, I can now send my son to camp for a week, to a summer camp, first time in her life. A father said, I'm now going to be able to buy for my daughter. She loves fast pitch softball. She's really good. I'm going to be able to buy her the equipment to do that. A number of families said, we're now in a position where we can actually, without scrounging, so many American families can barely afford their rent. 25% of American families pay half their income in rent. Think about that. 1 out of 4 renters pay half their income in rent. One thing goes wrong in their lives, their car breaks down, they can end up being evicted. So what this $300 per child or $250 per child, for a lot of families, it just relieved the anxiety of the difficulty of putting together the money they need to pay the rent. Because the last week of a month for many families is different from the first 3, because the last week they start making cuts and not spending as much money on food, all the things they've got to do to pay their rent. This is going to alleviate, it's going to lift that burden off so many families. Other families that are a little more affluent, but still hanging on to being middle class, are now able, they told me, to put $100 aside every month because of this child tax credit, because of the largest tax cut for working families ever. They're going to be able to put aside $100 a month for their child to go to Ohio State or to Denison or to Cleveland State or to Sinclair Community College in Ohio. So all the kinds of things. And Madam President, and I know you have in Wisconsin,